How we doing out there, everyone? Tim from Ski Rex Media here again, doing yet another interview with yet another person who works in snow sports media, which is awesome to talk to these other folks because we all bring a little something different to the table. You know what I do. You know what my buddies Brian and Mario do over at Highfalutin Ski Bums. You know what the Adams do out there in the Out of Collective. You know, we're all different. Stuart Winchester out there at Storm Ski. We're all different. Everybody's different. Some of us are more professional than the others. Some of us actually know what we're talking about. I'm not one of those people, which is why I get people like Jack McGuirk on here. And as we listen to the thunder outside my home and hope that the power does not go out, let's bring Jack on. Jack, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, dandy like a lion, just staying dry. So Jack McGuirk, let's make it easy for everyone and just tell us all who you are and what you do and why you know what you're talking about where I don't.
Sure. Yeah. So, as you just heard, my name is Jack. I work with the ski and ride travel show, The Mountain Report. This will be my fifth winter with them. And essentially what we do is we travel around, shoot a bunch of video and ski and have fun while we do it. Our show's broadcast in a whole bunch of different places. We can be found on NBC Sports Boston and here in New England. We're out in Colorado in the Rockies on Altitude Sports and Entertainment. Then we're down in Florida with all the snowbirds on Valley Sports. We just picked up a couple more networks. So now we're down in the Pittsburgh area and the Baltimore area and then down in Texas. So essentially we go to these ski areas and basically show off a day in the life of what you can expect at these places.
Which is great. Like this, Jack and his coworkers and peers all have a dream job. For some of us, like they get paid to do what we do. I mean, they're still working. Like, I'm not going to say you're not working, dude. I would never do that. Me being small time, I know what kind of work it can be. So I know what kind of work you all have to do. And they do a very good job over at the Mountain Report, dude. You do very well.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. It's work. It's long days. A lot of people think we kind of just ski and ride and shoot whatever we want in terms of video and photo. But a lot of times there's planning that's months in advance, sometimes weeks. And it's long days. You know, we usually start right around sunrise and we can go late at night into the après scene. But even though it's work, you know, we try and have fun with it because one of our mottos is, you know, skiing's supposed to be about having fun. So we take that energy and we try and show how other people can have fun the same way that we do.
Absolutely. And again, that it's actually work. What you see me do, that's just skiing around and shooting whatever I want anytime I do any kind of video work. So they're professionals. I'm not, but I try my best. But all kidding aside, man, one of the things that brought us together, and I didn't do my read for Whaleback. I don't know why it slipped my mind because literally I just told Jack not 10 seconds ago that I was going to do a Whaleback read. Bottom line, go visit Whaleback. The Ski Rex Media podcast is brought to you in part by Whaleback Mountain here in Enfield, New Hampshire. Well, I'm not in Enfield. I'm like 10 minutes up the road. It's a great place, small, comfortable, awesome, old school vibe, but all the terrain you could ever want. It's just an awesome place to go. I love it. I'm there all the time. I'm a pass holder. I recommend it to everybody. In fact, I don't like recommending it to everybody because I don't want anybody to find it because I'd like to keep it to myself, but I can't do that. Everybody come up here, check it out. It's the most accessible ski hill in the world, I feel. It has its own exit off the highway. It's beautiful. Whaleback Mountain, ski it to believe it. Sorry to interrupt Jack with that because I forgot to do it. See, that's how unprofessional I am talking to a professional. There you go.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
So that's actually how this came about. Not too long ago, Mountain Report did a segment for Whaleback Mountain, dude. Now I kind of know the story of how that came along, from John Hunt over there. Let's hear it from you all, and if you had any part of that in your organization.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I think I just woke up one morning and I said, "Oh, I'm going to throw a tweet out and ask our TMR fans where they're looking forward to skiing this year." And I think this was honestly maybe a year ago, back in September 21. The Whaleback account responded and said Whaleback Mountain. So I kind of put two and two together, like, oh, maybe I should reach out, see if they want to get on the show, and reached out. And then, you know, John and I had a couple conversations and and voila, they were on the show. Sometimes it's that easy.
It can be that easy. Sometimes it's that easy for me as well. And it was a great segment. Definitely look it up. I'll link it in the show notes when the time comes for you all to go see it. It was done very well. Plus I have to thank you guys over there. I have to kind of brag myself up a little bit because about 5 seconds of video in that was mine.
Oh well, hey, we
100%.
we appreciate you letting us use your video, because a lot of times it's maybe a crew of three or four of us that go out to these shoots, and I'm pretty sure on that specific day it was maybe just one of us that was there. And that's the neat thing about whaleback is the size of it, right? A lot of people
Sure.
who probably go up to all these bigger mountains in Vermont drive right by it, and they only see those few trails right off the highway. And I know that's not the case. And like you mentioned a couple minutes ago, there's so much terrain that you can't see there. And it's honestly, maybe I wouldn't say underrated because the terrain is great. I would probably say overlooked because of its size. A lot of people see it and they say, "Oh, that's not a place that I want to try out and ski." But since that segment, all my friends who ask where we should go and ski, I always say, let's go to Whaleback, because it's right off the highway, like you mentioned. It's got its own exit. It's easy to get to, and it's a ton of fun.
It's a ton and a half of fun. And Jack's not wrong. If you look at the trail map, it's kind of cool. The trails actually kind of go off the lift to the back, which would be going south, and come out and around. It's very neat. It's a great setup. I love it. And it's not all easy stuff. People sometimes equate little mountains with easy terrain. And there's a couple easy things there, but there's a couple hardcore things there too, I think. I've had some rough days up there, tiring days, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like that anywhere. Just the fact that you can have steeps and groomers all in the same place, like you really can't beat it. And I think that's what gives New England, in general, not just at Whaleback, like the charm. I would say a lot of places around here, you have your greens and your blues that are nice groomers that if you want to just cruise down, go right ahead. But then a lot of places have the steeps where if you really want to test yourself, send it, right? That's what I like to say.
Absolutely. Send over safety. That's an Instagram account somewhere. I don't say do that though, for real. Be safe, everybody. Don't hurt yourself, please.
Oh
But
yeah, I've had some scares and some crashes where I get back up and I'm almost wondering how I didn't hurt myself. And it's kind of lucky because most of the time I'm doing day trips and somebody's got to drive me back home after I ski all day, so I can't really take too many big slams.
no, absolutely. Keep safe, everybody. Don't mess around. And again, thank you for using my 5 seconds of video. For anyone's wondering who saw the segment, there's just like 5 seconds of a kid taking a hit. It was at the tri-state, the junior tri-state championship on Big Air Day. And one of my videos make it. John Hunt asked, he's like, dude, do you have any of your stuff you'd let them use? I was like, yeah, send them all this. I was like, it's not good, but something must have been good enough. So I love it. But before we go too much further, because we're going to get into the history of the Mountain Report now. Like we've talked up Whaleback and we've done our bit for that. And I love those guys. You've also heard us both mention New England skiing. Now, Jack, you just mentioned all the networks and markets that you are in, not just the internet, but places all over the country. Where is the Mountain Report located? Like, where do you work out of?
So we are just south of Boston. Our office is in a town called Easton here in Mass. And I mean, it was really mostly one or two people throughout the year. And then when we're out on shoots, we bring a couple extra hands to help us. And I've only been around for 5 years, but the show has been around for over 20. And it's been all over the place, Chamonix, out in Colorado at Alta, out up in Banff, Quebec, and then pretty much everywhere in New England. So we've been around for a while. There's a lot of history to the show. We have a lot of archives on our YouTube channel, which is just the Mountain Report, if you want to head over there and check it all out. And then, we're also on all the major social medias, so Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so you can find us all there.
Totally. You can find the Mountain Report literally everywhere. I think it was last week, I think the website was down for like a day for maintenance, but don't worry, I'm sure it's back. In fact, I'm looking at it. It is, for those who are super fans. And when you go through it, TMR website, like I like to go through it because I see stuff like there's the Whaleback Mountain video. There's Lindsay Delorier right there. Love her. Talk to her a bunch. Well, I have in the past. Stratton, Waterville, which I've just went to the first time. Awesome. Bretton Woods, I've never skied, but I was up there for a Hall of Fame. That's one of the things I had to ask you is, are you all, even though you've been everywhere, it really feels Like you're here in New England, home for me and maybe home for you all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, New England is our number one target market just because that's where we're all from. That's where we all have done most of our skiing. But that's not to say we don't go everywhere. In fact, one of our partners is the Indy Pass. So our premiere episode this December will be our Indy Pass trip to Utah last year. So the last few years since 2020, we've been working with them, and we try and get to as many Indy Pass skiers as we can. Just because much like their motto, we've kind of rediscovered where the soul of skiing comes from and where the history and the vibe all comes from. So, anywhere from Waterville Valley that's on the Indy Pass, out in Utah, we try and hit them all. And if you have any suggestions on where you guys want to see us go, just let us know, and we'd love to try and get there.
I think with my guys, a lot of the people who follow me would say just anywhere would be great, and it would
Yeah.
be. But
Hey,
the
anywhere I
the
can get on my skis or my snowboard is, even if the snow's not the best, I'm happy because a day skiing or snowboarding is hard to beat.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's really kind of fun to look at. Well, it's fun that you all work with the Indie Pass because I love Doug Fish. I love the Indie Pass. I use it. Doug is quite the character. Great guy. Just talked to him the other day. I love the Indie Pass. And like I was throwing out, like, and Jack just did as well, Waterville, Indy. I mentioned Lindsay Delorier it was in a thumbnail. She's runs Bolton Valley, Indy. There's a picture of you at Berkshire East, Indy. It's all, there's so many. And if you get to actually travel to all of them, Doug and I were talking about, can anybody hit them all? And we think that's impossible. But would you try with the Mountain Report?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's so many on the pass now from where they first started a couple years ago. It's kind of hard to figure out where you want to start. I mean, we've been lucky enough to go to pretty much all of them in New England, minus the ones who've been added over the summer and last spring.
Mhm.
And we did our trip to Utah, and we're hoping to do a similar trip this year. We haven't decided, where we're gonna go. We're thinking Pacific Northwest, just as a ballpark. But yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see if somebody can hit all of them. I know I try and keep track of all my redemptions, and
Yep.
it gets tough sometimes.
It does. And the thing is, when Doug and I were talking, we were joking about trying to do it in a season. There's just no way, not without your own private fastest plane on earth. You just can't do it. And you probably need a helicopter so you can land at mountain. Some of these mountains aren't near any airports at all. Now, since you brought up Chamonix, and here's this right here. I'm looking at the website at the same time for those listening. And I know with an audio thing, talking about what I'm looking at is dumb, but just follow along. Follow along at home. Go to the mountainreport.tv and you will find it. Would you do the indies in Japan?
It would be probably a long flight, but I hear the snow in Japan is phenomenal. So my
Mm.
easy answer is yes. Uh, Anywhere that I can go, if I have the opportunity, it's kind of hard to say no. I don't know, skiing in Japan in that snow sounds pretty cool to me if you ask.
Oh God, yes. I would love it. I would love to go just ski all day and then end up eating something awesome and watching sumo. Japan's got to be a great place to visit. I would assume. I've never been there. I know people who have and said it's a good time. But the snow is supposed to be legendary, just absolutely legendary. Like you'll see nothing like it. That's what I've heard. I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I mean, I've also never been there. I mean, any time of year in Japan I hear is a good time, but the pictures I see that in the Indie Pass posts, or really anybody that's skiing in Japan, makes me kind of jealous that a pow day in New England is probably a foot of snow, whereas out there it could be a couple.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen some disgusting video and it's just like, wow, you can actually dig that out. Like there's technology that exists where you can plow that. Cause here that's just an end of the world scenario. Not to say we wouldn't try though. The more I look at this page with the mountains on it, it's more, well, let's take this. I asked Doug this. Doug Fish, this again, founder of the Indie Pass, and again, Jack will be able to elaborate on this, I think, because again, he knows what he's talking about. But I've been saying that as an Indie Pass user, being here in the Upper Valley, Vermont, New Hampshire, this is like ground zero with the Indie Pass offerings that are within an hour to 2 hours from here. And now with the Indie Allies, including Whaleback and McIntyre and the Skiway and Middlebury and so on and so forth. Like this is like the place to be if you are an Indie Pass holder, I think.
Oh, for sure. I would 100% agree with that. I mean, You look at New Hampshire alone. You have Cannon, you have Black Mountain, which was, I believe, is home to one of the oldest lifts in the country. Cannon has a ton of history on its own, with the Taft Slalom Trail, which I think was cut maybe back in the 40s. The first aerial tramway.
Sure.
Then you have the smaller places like Pat's Peak that's been owned by the same family since they opened. And
Yep.
then you look in Vermont, with Magic and Bolton Valley, two places that started off as just an idea and are still around to this day. And then over in Maine with the newly reopened Saddleback, I mean, you have some really good options of places to go. And like you mentioned a couple minutes ago with the new Allied resorts, you could spend maybe a week or two just kind of traveling New England to all these awesome ski towns and checking out all these cool places to ski.
100%. There's so much to see. If you're a travel guy or a travel girl and you want to hit, like, my mountain count nearly doubled in one season because of the Indy Pass, like just doubled places I had never been to. And they're all, again, like I said, if there's people who want to just get to Mount Snow, obviously Epic Pass, not Indy Pass, but, and I'm not changing subjects. The Mount Snow, that's like 4 or 5 hours from New York City in traffic when everybody leaves on Friday. For me, 4 or 5 hours, I have like 40 or 50 total choices, and half of those at least are on the Indy Pass. It's wonderful.
Yeah, here's a road trip for you, right? You can start off in New
Mhm.
Hampshire because I know I've got a lot of great memories at Cannon. I've skied there a couple times each year. You can start off at Cannon. You drive north. You can hit Burke, which is an allied resort. Then you
Mhm.
go even further north, hit J Peak, and then you go south and you can hit Bolton. And then if you really want to go, you can hit Whaleback as an allied resort and either Magic or Pat's Peak. That's a handful of ski areas right there that all have their own. I don't want to say same types of trails, but the mountains are the terrain itself is very similar in New England, no matter where you're skiing. You either
Yeah,
have your classic tight and winding or wide open carving trails, but each of those ski areas are different in their own right, from lift capacity to snow type to weather. And really, the nice thing about the Indy Pass is, from what we noticed the last few years, is it brings us to places that we probably would have never gone to if it didn't become a thing.
totally. That's me too. There's places on there like the Saskadena Six, which is the new name for Suicide Six for anyone who doesn't know. Growing up in Vermont, I had heard of it, but we never took the time to come up here. We didn't even know where it was. We all worked at Mount Snow. I grew up in southern Vermont. We worked at Mount Snow during the American Skiing Company, so that dates me a little bit, back in the 90s. So we were at Haystack and Mount Snow and Killington because we didn't have to pay. So we were just going to those places. Now I have the Indie Pass. I've places that I've heard of, I'm now visiting, and then there's places I've never heard. I never heard of Pat's Peak. Never heard of it. Love the place. The place is awesome. Have you actually been there?
I have, yeah. I went in 2020. I went twice in probably about the span of a few weeks.
Mm.
Um, and one thing I took away, because we went there and we actually filmed a segment there.
Hmm.
Um, Driving up, you're kind of just driving through a residential neighborhood,
Yeah.
and then once you get to the parking lot, you can see some nice varied terrain, especially off I think it was the Hurricane Lift with the bump run. Like, that was so much fun to ski all day. I think I did that at least 10 times. And you can take people there who have been skiing for 20 years and have a good time. You can take people there who probably have, or could have never skied, and you can have a good time. It's just one of those places where they really focus on offering good quality skiing and varying terrain for all types of abilities.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. That place is so much fun. In fact, the Ski Rex Media Pennsylvania contingent, some of the fans who have become friends that I've skied with, they came up this past season once everything was open again, and we all went down to J Peak for a day. And man, I mean, I had been there before, they hadn't, and we all just loved it. And it's a great place. It's a wonderful place. Jack said it, man. This whole episode is just going to turn into two New Englanders talking about just every mountain. That's what it's going to turn into, everybody. So buckle up. This is going to become a locals episode very quickly, I think. But it Pat's Peak is a great place. And when we're talking about with Indy Pass, there's places you might not have heard of or might just have driven past. And that's something everybody says, like, especially during the the lockdown periods when we had during the COVID-19 stuff, where there was a lot more ticket restriction and sales restriction. They put limits on what they sold. So big places that everybody went to sold out fast. So everybody else went somewhere else, and it was all Indie Pass. But here's one that's not on the Indie Pass, a little one no one's ever heard of, Ski Queechee at the Queechee Club, man. Were you part of those shoots at all?
Oh yeah, the Queechee Club is one of a kind. No matter what season, whether you're a golfer, you can go play there to 18-hole courses, or if you're a skier and snowboarder like me, I've been lucky enough to be able to do both. And
Mm-hmm.
it's much like Pat's Peak in a way. Satsuma 6, while I've never skied there, it's set up very similar. There's one main chair that brings you up to a bunch of different trails, and we were lucky enough to be there the day after about a 15-inch snowstorm. So uh, there was probably about half and half groomed runs. The rest were all filled with powder. So, and I remember it was a bluebird day. It was just really cold, but
Mm-hmm.
another place that if it ever joins on the Indie Pass, or even if you just want to go check it out, would highly recommend, because it's another place where you can have a good time no matter what.
It's a neat little spot that you would never know. I'll tell you how I found out about it. I had just moved back to Vermont. I had been living in New Jersey and Las Vegas and all over. Come home, man, and I live in the Upper Valley now, and I'm driving across US Route 4. People who go to Killington and Pico know that road. That's where
Yep.
Killington and Pico are. But you're going through the town of Queechee in Hartford Township, the Hartford Village or whatever, and you see what looks like a ski area. Now, you don't think much about it because there's a bunch of farms around here that are cut uphill. They're not ski areas, they're just farms. But then you realize there's a chair there and you're like, what the? Okay. And you head on over, and sure enough, there it is. It's this little hidden gem that's part of a country club. So it's semi private. No, not even private. That's not the right word. It's open to the public, but those who belong to the country club, I think, get a better deal. I forget offhand what it is, but it's definitely a cool little joint. Check it out if you have the opportunity. It's great. How small do you guys go over there? Like, does it have to be lift served? Would you go up to like, or have you gone up to Northeast Slopes or something like Cochran's or Stores Hill, things like this?
I know since I've been around, we everywhere I've been has
Mhm.
been lift served, but I know there's a couple places that I've skied personally that are only lift. I guess tow service, whatever you want to call it, surface level lifts, I think is the right
Yeah,
way to describe it.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and those are other places that are really community focused, that like we've been saying this whole time, people might not even think of going. And you mentioned Cochran's. That's a place that has a ton of history, not only in New England but in the ski world itself. And I know there's one up in uh, Linden, Vermont. I think it's just called the Linden Outing Club. That's got a ski
Hmm.
hill with just a rope tow.
Yep.
And it's kind of funny because we've been talking about, places where we want to go, and really, the heart of skiing is kind of something that I'd like to showcase
Yeah.
over the next few years, just because skiing has become so corporate the last few years that it's really the places that kind of got the industry started that I think really deserve all the spotlight.
I agree with that. And that's really cool. That's what makes the Mountain Report, I think, so cool, is that they, like I say, snow sports are for everyone. And clearly you all believe the same thing because you go anywhere, not just everywhere, but anywhere. Again, Pat's Peak and all the other indie places, Cannon, Magic, Bolton, what else you got on here? Smugglers, Knott's, Berkshire East, Queechee, all this different stuff, but Chamonix and all the other places too. Bretton Woods, which people say is an elitist place. I don't know. I only went up there for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I didn't get to ski it and really explore it. So I don't know. I don't know what that place is like.
Bretton Woods, I've skied Bretton Woods a lot over my 10 plus years on snow, and every time I go there, no matter if it's vacation period or if it's just midweek, it's always a good time, just because the conditions are always prime. The new gondola that pretty much takes you right to the summit is great, and that's another place that has terrain for all abilities. I've gone with some people who aren't necessarily beginners, but are working their way up to the intermediate level. And then I've gone with my buddies and I who have been skiing together for a long time, where we just kind of go to the western side of the mountain and stay on the steep all day. But Another place where it's always a good time to go, and the views are hard to beat. You just no matter what trailer you're on, you're always looking down at the Omni Mount Washington Hotel and the Presidential Range. I'm a nerd when it comes to the mountains, so I know most of the names of the peaks all around there. So I remember when we were there last year, just trying to show off a bit. Oh yeah, that's the Prezzies over there, and Mount Hale and Mount Tom are behind us. But again, it's always a good time when you go to Brent Woods.
I can respect that. I wish I could recall all the peak names at any given time. I can barely remember my name on a Tuesday. So I 100 respect you if you can do that. I mean, I can point to Mount Washington, but anybody can do that. I can call out Killington from the backside without the trails, depending on where I am. If I'm at the top of Mount Equinox, that's a hike or a drive, everyone. There's no skiing there. I mean, I guess if you were really good out of bounds backcountry freak skier, you could do it, but I wouldn't. Not a chance. No way would I do that. That's just asking for it. But no, I respect you, dude. So you've been on snow for only 10 years.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm on the younger side of the industry, I would say. So right now I'm 23, so I started, I don't know, fourth or fifth grade. I don't even know how old you would be then, but I've gotten around. I've had my fair share of fun, and I'm only gonna have more fun going from here on out. But I've been lucky enough to go to a lot of really cool places, both on my own and also working with mountain reports and places that I probably would have never gone to because I grew up skiing in New Hampshire. I learned how to ski at Waterville, and then we moved towards Loon with some family. And then once we decided we wanted to do a little more, I guess you would say, tougher terrain, we made our home at Cannon for a few years, and now I'm back at Waterville for the last two. So really, the old Ski 93 pass that used to be around, I'm living in it in present day, even though the pass isn't around.
Nice, nice. Shout out to Waterville Valley, man. I like that place too. I went there this past season for the first time. Again, Indy Pass, and man, what a great place. Shout out to Jumpin' Steve over there as well, friend of the show, friend of the program. Great guy. And shout out to Rob Dresser and the freestyle kids over there too. We know them too. You start to find out that New England skiing really is just a family affair, both figuratively and literally. Families all own the smaller places, and then we all end up kind of knowing each other in the end. Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've like I said, I do mostly day trips on my own, and I've gone to Waterville and I get in the lift line, and some of the lifties know me by name, mostly because my helmet is green, so it's kind of hard to miss. But yeah, it's a family thing. Like I know I've skied with a lot of my family members and even my friends. It's kind of a thing where sometimes it's nice to go on your own, where you can just go down trails you want, but skiing's the best when you're with people that you want to ski with, and there's really not much else to say. That's how skiing should be.
It is, and that's it was amazing that skiing almost not amazing. I shouldn't say amazing, but during the COVID thing, ride your lift alone or with your group, the gondolas are closed. Don't go inside, this, that, and the other. It almost felt like it was going to kill it because it is a social sport. It's 100% social sport. You should do it with more people and you'll always make friends. I mean, I'm sure, Jack, you talk to people on the lift, you were just saying, right? New people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's kind of awkward when you get on the lift and you're just in silence for a few minutes. So I try and always talk to the person, see what they've skied, what's good, what's not worth it, and then who knows? Sometimes you end up skiing with them for the rest of the day. I know that's happened a couple times. So yeah, it's more fun when you can go with people and have a good time. So
Absolutely. Like you're not wrong. I like some days, and I end up skiing most of the time because I kind of worked my schedules to be a weekday skier to avoid weekend rushes. So I don't always get to go out with people, but there's always people there. I remember this past season at Pat's Peak, got on a lift with a guy and his daughter. His daughter was between us, and me and the dad were just yapping, yapping, yapping. And this kid was just like, really, I mean, young teenager, 13, 14, you know how it goes. But
oh yeah.
it was hysterical because she was like, really? And we were gabbing like the stereotypical teenage girls. It was hysterical, I thought. And, talk to him for a while, talk with someone else for a while. You get to know the lifties. I also wear bright green, so lifties know who I am. Like, it's great. It's a really great social sport. And the cool thing now with this interview, as it's now taken turns from just New England talking and BSing and whatnot, if Jack's 23, I'm 43, you're now talking two different generations, yet Jack is still down, as he said, with the smaller more classic places. I think that's so awesome, dude, that, some people say young people just aren't with it. They're all going to Killington, but that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd go to Killington any day of the week if I could. It's
Sure,
just
sure.
so much fun to go there. But I tell all my friends that I've got an old school type of mind from my skiing to my music taste. So
Good
um,
man.
the places that you can go where there's people who've been skiing there for 40, 50 years that you can just learn stuff from is kind of cool to me. And I know most of the places I do my skiing, my dad tells me to go there because when he was my age and skiing, he said it was fun, and you get there and you learn that it's just as fun now as it was back in the day. So I mean, it really is. I mean, and my biggest motto is any day skiing is better than a day at work, right? I mean, or
Totally.
any day skiing in general is better than just about anything else if you're that much of a ski fanatic like I am.
Absolutely, dude. Like, it is wonderful. It is awesome. I love it. And I'm not even that good at it. People are, I tell them my age and you're like, wait, you've been skiing since sixth grade. I'm like, yes, I've been skiing since sixth grade. No one ever says I'm bad, it, but I'll say it. I'm not great. I'm good enough. And that's as good as I need to be. I don't run bumps anymore because I'm an old man with bad knees, these kind of things. But it's still just as much fun. Like we were saying, it's for everybody. It doesn't matter your skill level, your experience level. Doesn't matter if you're a boy or girl or whatnot. Just go out and have fun, man. I'm sure you agree.
Oh, totally. I mean, for whatever reason, I've noticed that there's kind of like this hidden notion that you have to be good at skiing to go certain places, and that's just not the case. I mean, you could be a beginner and go wherever you want as long as you're out there learning how to ski. Who really cares how good you are or what you look like? It's just, what we've said it probably 1,000 times. We should probably keep a tally by now. It's just about having fun. You shouldn't care how you're dressed, what you look like when you're skiing. I know I've been a snowboarder most of my life. I picked up skiing 2 years ago. I look like a complete Jerry when I ski, but I don't care. I have fun when I do it. So I mean, it's just about having fun, and obviously you want to stay within your limits because I mean, practice makes perfect. But as long as you're having fun, who really cares? That's what I like to say.
Yeah, who cares? Just get out there and do it. And that's what I say. And I get there's other things, a lot of the times, like we're here in New England, we can go anytime we want. City folk don't always have that, but they have indoor option now. Has Mountain Report gone down to big snow yet, or plan to, or waiting for Alpine X to open their facilities or anything?
I've I haven't been down there. The mountain report hasn't been down there. It's definitely something of interest, just because I don't know, skiing indoors. I don't want to bash it until I've tried it,
Hmm.
but I don't know. It does. It seems like a good alternative if you're really craving it.
Hmm.
So I'd like to go down and try it on my own. But have you been down there yet?
Totally. I dug it. I think it's great. I think, see, it does. They do down there at Big Snow American Dream in East Rutherford, New Jersey, right across the street from where the Giants and the Jets play. For you football fans, football season's coming around, and they only do 2 and 4 hour sessions, which is enough. I don't think I could actually, if someone said, "Dude, I dare you to stay in there all day," I could do it, but you would get bored. It's one trail or one trail in the park if you're a freestyle type of person. If you're a trickster, you could do it. I think it's cool. There's something about riding a quad chair indoors that's just awesome. There's just something about it. A lot of people make fun of it. They're like, dude, it's just like going to the gym. I was like, well, that's fine. Work it out. What a great way to do that, especially if you live in the city where it's now just across the river, not 5 hours in traffic. I like it. I say go down there, dude. Check it out. Like if you got, a day or two that you want to just take a ride down there. Yeah, the traffic sucks, but whatever. It's doable, and I dug it. I like it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'll make a trip if the Pats play the Jets or Giants the Meadowlands one of these years.
Absolutely. There you go. Make it a two-piece thing because again, it's 2 hours and 4 hours. And if it's not a busy day, you'll get 1,000 runs in those 2 hours. And it's not a difficult terrain. I'd say it's a New England blue. It even gets sketchy and icy during the day too. They gotta go and resurface it real quick. It is real snow though, but they have a really nice learning center though. I gotta give them credit for that. I liked it. I like the whole experience. I love it. And the Alpine X facilities. Again, I don't know if you guys have gotten to down at the Mountain Report. Have talked to John Emery and Alpine X. And they Bodie Miller was working with them now. So the facilities they plan on opening are just going to be these awesome giant destinations. It's going to be great. I think it's not the future of skiing because it will always be outside, but it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely like to try and get down there and try it out for sure.
I think you should take some cameras. You might get something. You might not. Again, you're only going to be there a couple hours unless you
Right,
are
for
going
sure,
to
for
work.
sure.
Then you'll probably be there all day, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. Speaking of off-season stuff, we've been talking about me, some of the other folks in snow media. Are you all going to be represented at Snowbound this season?
Yes, we plan on being there. I know myself, I'll be there a couple of the days because we usually always when the old Boston ski show, we usually go every day, either the Saturday or the Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But we're definitely going to be there at least one of the days, hopefully all of them if possible. But yeah, we will be there this year.
Excellent. See, a bunch of us are going too. And that was more to my point of in the end, we all start, and it's not just because we're media folks, be it amateur or professional, it's because it's New England and that's what we do. We all just know each other. It's hysterical. I don't know how it happens. I don't. I'm sure I'll run into someone I know down in Yawgoo Valley at some point. No one even knows what that place is. A
Oh,
couple
I've
people
been to
do.
Yagoo. Don't you worry. I know what that is.
Very good, very good. Who was I talking to who had been down there? The guys at Any Stomps. They're a stomp pad manufacturer right up the road from here, actually. And they're like, "Oh, we know those guys." And I'm like, "Awesome," because I'm getting there on the Freedom Pass. So if you have a Whaleback Pass or McIntyre or one of any other number of passes, you get a couple days there. What do you think of that place? People like to rag on that, I think, more than they like to rag on indoor skiing, like Rhode Island. Really?
Yeah, that I think that's the biggest thing. People, they don't, when they hear Rhode Island, they don't probably think of skiing. They probably think of seafood, which I don't blame them. I spent a lot of time in Rhode Island and the seafood is
Yeah,
phenomenal. But I've been to Yagoo once, and
sure.
you just got to make the most out of what you're given, really. I mean, it's a cool little hill. Again, kind of like a Pat's Peak situation where you're just driving down a residential road and you're going downhill for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden you see snow on the right hand side of the road, depending on which direction you come from,
Hmm.
and a couple old school double chairs. And I remember the day I went again was right after a snowstorm, so I really picked the best time to go. Um, but it's just another cool place where if you only have a few hours, if you're from the Providence area or even some parts of Connecticut and Mass, if you only have a few hours and you're craving the itch to go out and ski, it's a great place to go.
Now, let me ask you about that place. I've kind of presented it as fact, and I shouldn't have, so that's on me, world. I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong. Did you hear about during COVID year one and everything? Vermont didn't want you to come here at all. They put the signs up on the border. Massachusetts had some restrictions. A few places. I heard a couple times Yawgoo Valley had to shut the door and say no more because everybody from Connecticut and Mass ended up going there because it was the only thing they could get. I mean, Connecticut has a couple places, but I guess Yawgoo just got slammed a couple times. Did you hear anything about that? Since, again, Jack knows what he's talking about. I don't.
Yeah, I heard a few rumblings like that, and not just at Yahoo, kind of all over the place. 'Cause, when the pandemic first happened, a lot of people didn't know what skiing was going to look like for from that point to now. And with the whole push to get outdoors and just be outside, I feel like COVID kind of helped save the ski industry in a way. I know I saw a lot of people definitely going for the first time just to get outside, and I think that's a good thing. And for Yahoo, it's a smaller ski area. It's the only one in Rhode Island, and for them to have to shut down ticket sales for the day, that's big for them. And especially down this way, because they rely so heavily on the weather that here where we are in southern New England, it can be 30 degrees on a Monday and 65 the next day. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
I heard some, I mean, that's all across the place. That's New England weather for you, I guess. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I did hear some rumblings of that.
Yeah, see, I find that interesting. Again, it's one of those things where they're small. They only have so much capacity because they're small. So when everybody's like, well, this is what's open, let's go. If they can close down for a day, that's a good-ish day for them. That means they made money, and that's really good. And again, something I always say, like I said about Whaleback, I love Whaleback. I don't like telling people about it, but I love telling people about it because I want it all to myself. I love being able to go to Whaleback at 2 o'clock when they open during the week and have no line, no lines. The only people there At 2 o'clock are the after school programs and the racer kids, the race academies. And then you get like the people who are getting out of, sneaking out of work early. I've seen a couple of you, don't lie, you snuck out. It's awesome, these smaller places. And I really dig it. And Jack's not wrong. COVID in a way saved at least some of the spirit of it. Like we lost some of the social part on the lifts in the lodges, but it brought back tailgating. Did you see that out there?
Oh, that was honestly probably some of the best moments of that ski year. Is kind of, because usually the après scene is saved for the bar or in some places the club afterwards, but
Sure.
kind of felt like everybody staying in their ski gear, having a couple beers in the parking lot after. Like, I wish I could do that all the time because that was a ton of fun. And even,
Yeah.
I know getting changed in your car, some people might not like that.
Eh.
Personally, I like it.
Oh, me
Um,
too.
just, one less thing you have to do when you get there. You don't have to worry about the possibility of people snagging your stuff, thinking it's theirs by mistake, or maybe not by mistake if they just think that your stuff is better than theirs. But I don't know, booting up at the car and then on a nice spring day, you and all your buddies kind of setting up some lawn chairs and having lunch out by your car. I mean, I know making my home at Waterville the last few years, I saw some people playing like cornhole, tossing a
Hmm.
football around. It was kind of this cool environment that was hard to beat.
It really was. And, it's so funny. I think it took people to like, look, none of us who are snow sports enthusiasts will disagree with it being an expensive hobby, from equipment to tickets to whatever. And one of those things is food. When you go into a lodge, you expect to spend a lot. I almost wonder if that's going to hurt that because people aren't going back into the lodge this year. I don't think they really didn't last year. I don't think they are this year either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends when you were going. I know I nowadays now that I can do it, I try to avoid going during the holiday weeks,
Hmm.
um, just because I'm gonna call myself out and say it. I've gotten spoiled the last few years being able to go midweek and having the place to myself.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
and it seems like when in that sense during the week the lodges aren't too full, but on the weekends and during holiday periods, because I did go a couple times last year, it felt like skiing was 2018 2019 season again.
Yeah.
Um, it kind of just felt right in a way. Like the first time you go to the TD Garden or Madison Square Garden for a full arena basketball or hockey game, like it just felt right.
It did. It was great. It was still great. Like the snow's been a little weak the last couple seasons in the COVID-19, but man, it found a way. It's one of the most, in my opinion, and I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but it was one of the biggest feel good stories you would hear around the country during the last couple of years. It's like, hey, we're all still out and we're still doing it. And now that all that stuff's about done, you see him going back into it hardcore. I got to go up to Killington at the end of May. I didn't ski it because that's, that uh, my biggest problem with that. People think I rag Killington and say it's stupid to be skiing in May. I would never say that. My thing is that those bumps get wicked bumped and I shouldn't be up there anymore. It's not safe for other people. We'll put it that way. I could do it, but I could get squirrely really quickly. And man, if that is the social scene, like if you've never been to Killington in May or June, go out there. Jack, have you gotten to do that yet?
No, I was gonna do it this year. I was just about to, and then I don't know. I just decided not to do it. I like you. I don't want to bash it because I've never done it. I
Mhm.
personally, if I'm going to drive that length for a day, I would rather do it on a wide open ski area with a bunch of trails. But for somebody who lives within an hour that can say they've skied in May and June in New England, when you're
Mhm.
not hiking to Tuckerman's Ravine or something like that, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. And I mean, they say the Beast has the longest season in the East for a reason. And I don't know. I think it's cool definitely being able to go up and ski in the morning and maybe mountain bike or play golf in the afternoon. So I definitely one day would like to do it. And, to be honest with you, I'm not sure why I didn't do it last spring.
Mm.
Uh, Probably decided to do something else, but who's to say? I can't remember. But definitely would like to try it. I don't know. Seems like skiing in shorts and a t-shirt seems pretty cool today.
It is. It's amazing. And not to say I haven't done it. Back in the day I have. Again, this is more serious. Tim will say, "Look, I do know how to ski bumps. I have. I can tell you the last bump trail I skied, it was down in Bear Trap and at Mount Snow. That's what I did. And there comes a time when you have to recognize that maybe you're not up to task. And I don't think I'm up to task, but man, that's a party. That's tailgating on a new level. Like it's a wonderful thing. And now again, this was to the social point. And so if you have never done it, go check that out. That's great. I say that to everybody. It's a lot of fun. And then you brought up Tuckerman's, that you can continue to ski that pretty late into the year, the season. Does Mountain Report cover like backcountry, out of bounds, free ski? Pick your terminology, uphill.
Yeah, funny enough, you say that. We in our show, sometimes we do a segment what we call out of bounds, where I know we've been in. I believe it was Mount Tremblant. We did a a piece on skinning up and skiing down, kind of just as a alternative to lift service skiing, to kind of get back to the roots of how you used to do it, or really any other winter activity, whether it's snowshoeing, snowmobiling, fat tire mountain biking, which I know is big up near Burke in Vermont. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we haven't done necessarily, working with another company who does solely skinning and alpine touring, in that sense, but we definitely have shown it in the past, and it's kind of cool because it's a completely different type of skiing in a way. It's a lot of work for a short but rewarding run down is the best way to describe it.
And I'm sure I know people who love uphill. They'll just go up two or three times, and that'll be good for their day. As opposed to lift service, whether it be surface or chair or whatever. You go up 1,000 times. You did bring up Treblant though. Before I forget, again, the listeners knows, old school Ski Rex media listeners know. This is for me. This isn't for them. This is my information, my time. You brought up Treblant. Did you all do the casino? Were you there for that? Were you
I
old
was
enough?
I was not there for that, unfortunately. Looking back at that segment, I wish we waited till I was able to go, because it seems like it's a wicked good time. And everybody that I've talked to, they always ask me, "Have you skied in Quebec yet? Have you gone to Quebec?" The
Mm-hmm.
answer is no. Why? Just haven't gotten the chance to go yet. Mountain Report, we did do a show from Quebec in the Eastern Townships last year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, I again can't remember. I was not on the trip. Um, but it's just like a different type of experience once you cross the border and you go into Canada. The terrain and mountains are set up very similar from what I've been told, but it's the experience that's a lot different than skiing here in the States.
Oh, I'm sure. The thing about Treblant for me is that Ski Rex Media fully supports gambling in the gambling industry. 100% love it. Even asked John Emery, the head of Alpine X. I was like, dude, are you going to put one of those indoor places over in Las Vegas? Because I think you should do that. And you should call me the second you do it. That's actually like the second or third time I've told that story on the show this week, for recording. I made the same I told the same story when I was talking to Wendy Clinch, the ski diva. I just want to check that out. I think that's the coolest thing in the world, but you didn't get to go. That's such a shame. How bummed out do you get when the Mountain Report, your job, when you're doing that and they're like, all right, we need this, but you get to stay at the desk this week?
I mean, obviously, I wish I could get out and ski every day of the week, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you got to let other people have the fun. Whether it's a professional or personal reason, I try not to get too bummed, because I always say to myself, there's always next ski season.
Sure.
Um, but I think, I don't want to quote it word for word in case I butcher it, but there's a Warren Miller quote that says, "If you don't ski it this year, you'll be 1 year older when you do," or
Yep.
something like that. I
That's
don't know
it.
if is that the exact one?
I think that's it.
Wow, look at me go.
I,
Um,
I mean, let's be honest. I have the memory of a goldfish, so I could be wrong, but I think you
yeah, but
got
I
it.
mean, it's kind of like I don't want to say a chip on my shoulder, but in a way, it's like, all right, I'll make sure I get there next year or the year after that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's the nice thing about the Mountain Report is, yeah, we stay local in New England a lot of the times, but we always have that itch to go somewhere different, whether it's Quebec, whether it's Colorado, Utah, you name it. A bucket list place for me that I'd like to go is Jackson, Wyoming, to be able to go to obviously Jackson Hole Resort,
Yeah.
uh, and ski Corbett's. I know I keep telling myself I can do it, and but probably get there and look over the edge, and might have to run down on the base lodge real quick. Then even use my Indy Pass at Snow King because I hear that's got some of the steepest trails probably in the country.
I've heard that place is sick. I've heard Wyoming as a whole is sick. Like it's just a whole other world. Like you go to Colorado, you do all that, you shoot next door to Wyoming. It's a whole other planet out there. That's what I've heard. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a fun thing about the Mountain Report is I'm a skier at heart, but I'm also a photographer and videographer. And going to all these ski areas, especially for people who don't ski, you get to see some views that are unbelievable. So quick story. I skiing at Cannon all these years. Always look to skiers right, and you see Mount Lafayette and the Franconia Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 4 years, I've been saying, man, I want to hike that because the trail is unbelievable. I'm saying that from an experience because I did it 3 days ago. My
Mm-hmm.
body is still sore from it. It's about a 10-mile hike. And I got up to the summit and I'm looking down at Cannon and I said, wow, Cannon looks a lot smaller from up here. But then you
Yeah.
get to the trail and you're like, this is the biggest skier in New Hampshire. And it's just crazy. And my creative juices were flowing and it's hard to beat when you're skiing on the mountain or in the mountains in general, really.
Sure. No, it really is. And again, I like that you brought up nature and the views. It's like that's a big part of it. That the Mountain Report pushes that kind of piece as well. It's being in nature. It's being one with Earth. I mean, get as hippie as you want on this one, kids. I don't know, but it's just being outside. You might run into turkeys. You never know.
Yeah, or you could be that kid who was on Instagram a couple months ago with the bear chasing him down the hill.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely easier to get more speed on skis, I would say, but I know I definitely probably would not have carved on my snowboard. I would have just flown right down as fast as I could.
Yeah, with that bear, maybe. See, here in New England, little science lesson for you all. We have black bears. That's what we have here. I'm not worried about that. They can get big, and if you pick a fight with a mama bear with cubs, you're gonna lose. But generally speaking, not a problem. Out there, they got brown bears, grizzly bears. Just tuck it and go. you stand a
Yeah.
better chance of surviving the fall than the bear eating you. You don't want to do that. And this is something I have to say. It's just like these fools who go out in Yellowstone and try and pet the bison. Leave the animals alone. Take a picture, move on.
Exactly. That's the easiest way to describe it. Just it's cool to see. Don't want to mess with them, especially on one of their bad days.
Absolutely. But you might get something cool like a rodent. There was a video I just saw come out of New Zealand. One of those echidnas walked up on a snowboarder, checked out her feet or board, and then just moved on its way. But then again, there was a video of a kid on a cross country run who got attacked by a grouse. It was funny because the kid didn't get hurt, but man, that sucks.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I remember back in the spring, I hiked Mount Osceola and I was going up and this guy was coming down and he looks at me and he says, hey, there's a grouse about 100 feet up the trail who seems pretty feisty. He just came at my feet and I just swat him away. So
Hmm.
be on the lookout. And I went by trying to be as quiet as I could. Luckily, he didn't see me, which is a good thing because I don't even want to know what the outcome would have been. But yeah, it's some of the stories that you hear from either hikers or skiers of their experiences is an added bonus most of the time.
Oh, so many stories of just seeing weird stuff. It's a weird sport where you will see weird things and not just animals. And we can get into the weird, but before I forget, since I brought up the kid cross country, now I don't think does the Mountain Report cover cross country? Did I miss that somewhere?
Again, that would probably fall under one of our out of bounds
Sure.
segments. I guess I probably should have explained what the format of the show is earlier on, but essentially we basically showcase a day in the life of each ski area from your amenities, whether it's the hotel or the base lodge, children's programs like free ski and race teams, and then what the ski area offers as a whole, whether it's tubing, cross country skiing, like we just mentioned, snowshoeing, and just your alpine skiing as well. So I know over the course of the 20 plus years of the Mountain Report, we've definitely showcased it a couple times, but we haven't necessarily gone to a Great Glen Trails in Jackson, New Hampshire, for example,
Sure.
and done just cross country. I know it's definitely something that I'd like to try just because I've never done it and I'm always open to trying new things. So who knows?
Okay.
Maybe this year we might try it.
And that'd be cool. I know for myself, I'm thinking about getting back into it. I haven't done it since high school. There's cross country, Nordic offerings on the Indy Pass now. I have no excuse not to try it. And as Indy Pass supporters as well over there at the Mountain Report, man, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Talking about weird. Now you get to be up there all day with a camera. To go back to, I didn't forget the weird. I just wanted to get the cross country question out. You guys must have seen some of the stuff, but like we all see it now with the advent and we're all social media is just ingrained in people now. It's part of the culture. I feel like now, so you get to see some of this weird stuff. I'm sure you, with a camera on your hand, have seen the weirdest of the weird, like the animals and whatnot.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen people who, crash and kind of look around and say, "Oh, what just happened?" Or, people pop out of their ski in the middle of the trail and it goes flying down because their brakes didn't come up, or some
Sure.
outrageous outfits that you kind of just laugh at. And I know it's happened to us. Like, I remember when we shot at Waterville, one of their blue trails is called Oblivion, that wraps around the backside of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's got this sharp 90-degree turn to the left, and I kind of got a little cocky, I'd say, and I caught some air going over the little lip, and I landed, caught an edge, and just slammed real hard. Luckily, it wasn't in the show. I kind of wish it did because it was really funny. So,
Nice.
weird. We've seen slams, funny stuff happen in the base lodge, pranks on crew members and just random people that we see. And I think that's what makes skiing unique. Like, you really don't know what to expect when you show up, other than looking at the weather and getting scared by it. But yeah,
Sure.
it's just you don't know, and that's what makes it fun.
It does. You could any day you could just be sitting on a lift and be like, did I just see that for real? Was that for real? Some of it's funny. There is some ugly stuff. I won't tell some of the ugly stories I have. Like I've seen some horrible stuff too, but that's all. It's a dangerous sport. We'll just put it that way. But that's so funny, man. And I like that you embrace your Biff. You're funny. A lot of people don't do that. They're like, I never fall. I always say, if you're not falling, then you're not trying. That's how we lived.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, I've had my fair share of slams where I don't know how I didn't get injured, but then I have the ones where I get back up and I'm laughing because I don't necessarily know how I fell. I just kind of caught an edge and went down. And sometimes when you catch an edge, you just have to go down, and that's what makes it funny. But
Yeah.
like what you said a few minutes ago, you like the wow factor of it. I remember I was going up the lift with some friends, and there was a free ski competition going on underneath, and some kid's just flying through the moguls. He goes off the jump and does a backflip and stomps it. And we weren't expecting that, so we freaked out on the lift because in a good way, because we weren't expecting it. It was just kind of cool to see.
Oh yeah, and the fact is, you don't always want to go to the most packed lift, but that's where you'll always get the best show. Like everybody rides under that lift for one reason and one reason alone, and that's to show off. Yeah, you might have a few people who are just cutting across, but that's where the show offs will be. One of those places is at Bolton Valley, their one main quad. The terrain underneath it, man. I swear I saw I think it was one of the Laurier brothers. I don't know though, because I couldn't actually see his face, but the guy was too good. He was just too good.
Yeah, I know. I see people who I'm watching them like, man, I hope I look like that when I'm coming down. And it's just kind of crazy that the wide variety of skill level that you can see in a day. You have your people who are just learning, and then you have your people who probably could be pro skiers that kind of just fly. I know we have one guy who comes out with us, and he makes me look like I've never skied before, and it's crazy how good he is, and how fast he is, and how in control. And that just all goes to knowing your limits. Like if you're at a point in your ski life where you're confident that you can really rip in a safe way, go for it.
Oh yeah,
And it's all
there's
about
some.
knowing your surroundings, right? You can't do anything by watching people come from behind you. You just kind of have to point forward, pick your spots, and turn, and hope that everybody behind you is going to do the same thing, and be aware of everybody.
Absolutely. Like there's something for everyone. And don't let some try hard jerk try and tell you what you can't do this. You're not really doing it. Screw that guy. Who cares what he thinks? Don't worry about him. Just get out there, man, and have a good time. Speaking of good times, this interview's a good time. And I almost feel bad because we're not really pushing the Mountain Report. Again, it's just two New England guys talking about skiing, but that's okay too. To bring it back around to the Mountain Report, before we get out of here, man, do you all have your schedule yet for this season? Do you know where you're going? Are you allowed to tell?
So for schedule purposes, our show is going to start broadcasting in December. Uh,
Sure.
in New England, we'll be on NBC Sports Boston.
Hmm.
Um, on Saturday afternoons, right after Last Chair. Then we're also replayed Sunday mornings.
Hmm.
We're out in Colorado for any of your Colorado listeners on Altitude, which is the same network as the Rockies and the Avalanche. All the New England Snowbirds who are down in Florida, we're on Valley Sports, and then we just picked up a few new networks. So we're down in the Texas area on AT&T Sports Southwest, AT&T Sportsnet in Pittsburgh, and then we're also in the Pacific Northwest on Roots, which is the Mariners and the new Seattle Kraken network. Just some of
Hmm.
the examples. We'll be in New England again, going to some definitely unique ski areas for sure. Hoping to get back to Quebec this year. That would be fun. And then again, we're hoping to kind of do another trip out west, whether it's Colorado, maybe Wyoming, or the Pacific Northwest. Who's to say? I guess only time will tell.
Nice. So you all could literally be anywhere. So listeners, if you want to catch a glimpse of Jack and his crew out there doing their job, very, very cool job. You're going to have to keep an eye out because they could pop up anywhere, anywhere.
Yes, and one thing I will say, if you see any of us, we always have some Mountain Report stickers on us. So if you want some stickers, just come over and find us, and we'll give you a few. I know there's a couple lists around New England that you might find some Mountain Report stickers on, maybe some lift towers or some park features.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so we're everywhere. If you want some stickers, just let us know. That's something we've noticed the last few years is people really like stickers.
Oh, they love them. I give them out a bunch too. I totally get it. And I've seen Mountain Report stickers on lift towers in various places. Couldn't tell you exactly where right now off the top of my head, but I have seen them. Take a look at your local mountain or even your vacation mountain's lift towers and look and see what you get. There's just history of stickers there. It's really interesting and really awesome. Well, that's awesome, man. Let's give the Mountain Report one final plug. They're at mountainreport.tv, right, as well.
Yep,
As
yep. Mountainreport.tv. You can head there online. You see a boatload of our segments from New England, Quebec. You can head into the vault, as we like to say, and see some of our segments that are 10, 15 years old. I know there's some from Mattatash and Wildcat. There's one from Alta from back in the day. Salt Lake City, Utah's up there. And you can find us on Facebook. Just look up the Mountain Report and toss us a like. We're on Instagram, just at the Mountain Report. And then we're also on Twitter as well. So we hit the big three. Then if just find us on YouTube, just search the Mountain Report, and you'll see us right there.
Yeah, man, the Mountain Report has stuff for days and it's done very, very well. I'm talking top level production style. It looks great. It sounds great. The narration is very good. Good stuff, man. I really enjoy the Mountain Report. And I was very excited when you offered to come on Ski Rex Media Podcast after the whaleback segment. Dude, I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm happy we were able to find a day to get this done because I think when we first talked, it was maybe way back in May. So a lot of anticipation, and I know all day I've been looking forward to sitting down and talking with you, and hopefully we can get out and take a few laps on the Indy Pass one day this winter.
Dude, you let me know. You tell me when you yourself are going to be there. If the Mountain Report's there, I'll even help carry stuff if you need. I don't mind. No shame.
Hey, as long as you're skiing, who really cares what you're carrying, right?
Yeah, man, that's fine with me. I'll do it. That's awesome. Look for us on the mountain. I'll be out there. Jack will be out there. The Mountain Report will be out there with Jack, maybe without him too. It's he's got a very interesting job, very interesting business. Like he says, he can't go on them all. But thank you for listening again. Thank you, Jack, for coming on. I really do appreciate it, dude. This was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a ton of fun. It's always fun to talk skiing.
Absolutely. Thanks. And then there was going to be a second person and we tried, but we failed. We'll get that together at some point. For honest, tell them I'm sorry.
Oh, hey, no worries. Maybe at Snowbound we can sit down and talk again.
Dude, what an idea. Snowbound's going to be busy this year, kids. Come to Boston and visit all of us because we'll all be down there, all of us. You will see that we all kind of know each other a little bit and we're not really competitors, any of us. We just do it and we like it and we all bring something to the table.
For sure. That's the best way to describe it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jack, again. I appreciate it. SkiRexMedia.com and themountainreport.tv. Check it out. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. And there he goes, Jack McGuirk from The Mountain Report. You can find The Mountain Report, as we said, on themountainreport.tv or on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, The Mountain Report. Check them out. Of course, links will be in the description, the show notes always. Like I say, check that out when you've pulled over. If you're listening in your car, if you're just sitting around the house, you can check right now. Shoot, you might have already taken a look at it. In any case, thank you again for joining me on the Ski Rex Media podcast. Be sure to come again next week, where I'll be doing yet another interview with another guest. And it's going to be guests all the way up to the holiday break, sometime around Christmas, I think. I think that's what I have set up. Also, I hope you do enjoy your season from now till Christmas and after. I will be out there, of course, mostly at Whaleback, as you know, and then touring around with the Indy Pass. For all kinds of information about Ski Rex Media, please check skirexmedia.com and social media. Ski Rex Media on all social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Ski Rex Media, and patreon.com/Ski Media if you'd like to support the show that way. Subscribers get early access to the show. There will be subscriber-only content. There will be a couple things going on over there, especially as we get more into the season. Also, when I get the live stream going, there'll be priority calling for paid subscribers, for Patreon subscribers, right? Right. In any case, I am Tim from Ski Rex Media. Enjoy your day, enjoy your night, enjoy your whenever you listen to this, and I will see you out there later.